Okay. All right. Awesome. Welcome back. It's been a while. Here we are, Rocky Mountain Spa and Wellness Association, kicking off fall with a bang. We are here with Stan Kapica. He is from Skin Science Solutions. He's president. And he's going to talk to us about his super rad equipment that, quite frankly, is a solution that is not only revolutionary and dynamic, but it is non invasive and totally results driven, that is an absolute must have for your spa business. So, without further ado, I'm just going to hand it on over to Stan. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Holly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hope I can live up to that intro. So we'll do the best we can. So as Holly was saying, I'm Stan Kapica with Skin Science Solutions, and we are an importer of non-invasive body contouring beauty equipment. All of it happens to be made in Italy at this time. And what we found is that Italy tends to be kind of an epicenter of research and development around these non-invasive options, which are primarily what you see in Europe. You don't have the big cool sculpting penetration in Europe that you have here, and people are a little bit more patient, and the Europeans tend to focus more on treating the cause versus the symptom. And so it's just a little bit more of a systematic, common sense, natural approach as to how they go about everything. And so we're just adopting that here and working on everybody one step at a time. Now, for people who are looking to get away from Botox and fillers, this is more of the approach, which is more of the trend, especially with younger consumers today as well too. But I think people are, despite the immediate effects, I think people are more hesitant to put a potential toxin in their body, not knowing what the long-term effects are of it, irrespective of FDA endorsement or not. So these are just ways to enhance what you've got. So I'm going to walk everybody through what I like to do is present the technology and talk about the science and how it works, so you have a better understanding of it. And we have some pre-post photos in there to show as well too. So I'm going to share my screen and pull this up on the screen. And you see that okay, Holly?
I sure can. Am I muted?
Okay, good. So the title of it is, as you can see, thermal shock, the only hot and cold relationship you need. So thermal shock is all about alternating hot and cold. And most of you are dealing with the trend in, and are aware of the trend in non-invasive. So halotherapy is used, so are the near and far infrared saunas. You have local cryotherapy devices, the photobiomodulation beds, which reverse the aging process in our mitochondria. And then, whole body cryotherapy is what everybody assumes when they hear cryo. Cryo is really, it's the Greek word for cold. And this woman, I don't know how she was able to hold her face quite like that in a minus 250-degree chamber. But my background is in whole body cryotherapy. I started in this business in 2012. I was part of a team that started the first whole body cryotherapy center in Manhattan back then. Wow. And we had nobody coming in our facility. We were on the 10th floor at 57th and 6th Avenue, 57th Street and 6th Avenue. Nobody came in, and then one day New York Magazine came in and did a story. And then the floodgates opened. And we were treating 90 people a day at $90 a treatment. And I don't think anybody really understood why they were doing it, but it was an educational process, and it was the next trendy thing. What's happened since then is cryotherapy, the marketplace has evolved to where unsophisticated marketers came in, started applying Groupon in it, and it kind of killed the marketplace and commoditized it. The trend now in cryotherapy is you're moving into electric chambers, which are over $100,000. So it's a difficult business model, but it's where it's going because people don't want to deal with nitrogen, and there's a lot of safety factors and other things associated with nitrogen. So basically, when we talk about cryo, we're just talking about cold and understanding the role of heat. So heat is used for vasodilation. And I should mention that with whole body cryotherapy, or anytime you apply cold to the skin, what happens is you have vasoconstriction going on. So you have a dilation of your capillaries. With heat, you have an expansion of the capillaries. So when we use our science, we're just using a combination of the two. So thermal regulation and thermal therapy is like if you've been to a physical therapist or a chiropractor, say you have a pinched nerve or a tight muscle or a pulled muscle, they're going to use contrast therapy where they're applying heat compresses and cold compresses or ice to that particular area that's traumatized. And they do it alternating back and forth. So you have vasodilation, which increases blood flow, and vasoconstriction, which reduces blood flow. And when you alternate it back and forth, it has a mitigating effect both on pain and it can also have a mitigating effect on inflammation, and it can accelerate the healing process. So when we, so that's what you're talking about with physical therapy. So again, I jumped a little ahead of myself because I tend to get carried away. But when you're using cold, and this is the head of a wand that is capable of generating very rapid and dynamic exchanges between hot and cold, which kind of has replaced the old hot compresses and icing. So this is just icing a particular area in order to induce vasoconstriction. So when we use cold, we're tightening, we're reducing inflammation. When we use it on the face, it has a lifting effect, particularly on the cheeks. And we also use cold to reestablish the relationship between the muscle and skin that we lose as we age. And our skin starts to, from expansion and contraction all the time, if you've worked out or if you've gained weight and lost weight, you've had a loss of elasticity in the tissue. So there are 4 benefits of thermal shock for physiotherapy. So again, as I was saying, anti-inflammatory, vasoconstriction reduces inflammation in the area. The nerve endings, so where you use that hot, cold, back and forth, yin yang between the hot and cold, it confuses the brain so that the nerves do not send a message to the brain that you have trauma in the area anymore. And the brain thinks it's relaxed, so it doesn't send a pain message to the brain. And that's how it's used in that capacity. So if you, like Holly, if you live in a resort area and you want to get clients back on the mountain the next day for their ski, for their, after during their après ski time, to have them go through recovery, you can use something like this, which is what one of our clients who runs the spa at Spruce Peak in Stowe, Vermont uses, where you're using that hot cold approach. It uses it on the quads and the hamstrings, and it really cuts down on the effect of all the stress during the day and accelerates the recovery period overnight to where the clients have a better day on the slopes the next morning. So when it comes to skin rejuvenation, so there's a gentleman named Dr. Giamberto, and he's a French plastic surgeon and researcher. And a few years ago, he came up with a understanding of the architecture of the living matter. So what he discovered was that the microvacuole is the primary functional unit in the skin. And the collagen structure is comprised of fibers that move back and forth against each other. So as you see in the illustration to the right, you have elastin, collagen fiber, and fibroblasts. That was actually a cross section on a slide of skin. So what he's discovered is that the microvacuole, when you move a device over it, particularly when you're using hot and cold, or even if it's just mechanical, it stimulates the collagen and elastin fibers in that microvacuole, and they tend to realign themselves. And when you use heat, it brings collagen and elastin to the surface. Again, cold for contracting, reducing inflammation, and heat for stimulating collagen and elastin. So he basically discovered that the microvacule is the cornerstone for rejuvenation of skin tissue. So again, here's what happens with vasodilation and vasoconstriction. And at the end of the day, I'm going to provide this slide for Holly to post for all of you. I should say this presentation with talking points overlaid on the screen so you have all the details associated with it and understand it better. So when it comes to skin rejuvenation, we're using either cold and heat alternated in different times, temperatures, and sequences, depending on the desired effect that you want to create. And it's all pre-programmed in the architecture of our devices. So the woman on the left is in her 70s, and this is one décolleté treatment, and that's aged over 3 days. So you see, as the collagen became more prevalent and was brought to the surface, what happened. So, and the same on the right. The right is an 83-year-old swimmer. But, you know, this is just what's happened to the tissue as she's aged, and it's lost its elasticity. But she has good underlying muscle tone. So when you use the hot-cold approach, it kind of rebonded it to the skin. Now, this was 15 minutes. The bottom photo on the right was 15 minutes after the treatment was over. Now, is that going to stay like that? No, because you can only borrow collagen. Again, you can't replace it. So what each one of these clients needed to do was basically 5 treatments in a very concentrated window over a 15-day period. And then they can, the technician can either decide that they're in a pretty good place, and once they're there, then they go to maintenance. And I always look at the maintenance as a hair appointment. It can be 1 to 2 times a month. And it just depends on what you want to do. Like, some people use this just, they have the money and the time, and they can afford to do this on an ongoing basis, because for whatever their social circles or their personal goals, they want to stay and look as young as possible. For others, it's for a special event. It may be they're at a spa for a weekend and they want to come out looking rejuvenated. So they'll do a series of treatments on the body or face. And again, it's a very simple process, and all it is hot and cold. It's simple skin rejuvenation. I could do one hand versus the other, and 6 minutes later, you'll see a big difference in this hand versus this one. And it's fairly immediate. So when you do it on the face, it has a similar effect. So in the woman on the left, I'm going to try and expand this a little bit so you can see that closer. So she has large pore sizes in the photo. She's got her smile line is rather pronounced, where you can see the lines, and you see the fine lines even around the eyes. Now, after 2 anti-aging facials, you see how much tighter the skin is, how much more oxygenated the tissue is, how far reduced the fine lines and wrinkles are. And this isn't done with a serum or anything else. This is just done with a normal treatment of, I guess you could say that the devices allow you to be your best you. So you're working with the best natural solution to what you already have without inducing anything else into the body that could make you look in any way unnatural. Even look at the tightness of her chin line. Now, you're not going to get rid of a lot of excessive weight on the neck, but you'll tighten it. And that's with the cold. Now, again, all this has to continue with maintenance in perpetuity. But again, it's a great thing to do, even if it's just for a special event. Maybe it's a wedding, maybe it's a a class, a 30-year or 40-year class reunion. Maybe it's a special event for a weekend that somebody's going to. The woman on the right is just one tissue stimulation on the neck. She's 6'2", not an ounce of fat on her, but the one thing that bothers her was her neck. And this was one treatment later. She did a series, and now she comes in once a month and she keeps it. And she's happy with herself now. So now we're going to go.
This is unbelievable.
Well, you know, it works every time, as long as the whole thing is you have to adhere to the parameters of how often you have to do a treatment.
Yeah.
You know, but for somebody who's at a weekend stay, they can do a treatment every day, and they're going to leave with a very vivid memory of that spa, because they're going to look really different when they look in the mirror. They're going to look different when they go home.
And then they're going to want to find it wherever they live.
That's right. Exactly right.
Get it. Amazing. I'm
So,
sorry, I had to interrupt. It's just incredible to see truly how impressive the results are, even after 1 or 2 treatments.
Now, the photos there were touched just to sharpen them, but not to modify anything in any capacity. Those were all photos given to us by our clients. So cellulite is an ongoing dilemma that women face, and even some men are starting to get it today. But the main reason is because the fibers in women's legs run parallel to the ground. So when they run parallel to the ground, fat can collect here. Okay, and that's where you see the dimpling is caused by an interruption in the flow in the lymphatic system, and you get edemas that form because of fat deposits. Even triathletes or real hard bodies can have cellulite. It's genetic. 85% of women have it. Men don't develop it because our fibers in our legs run perpendicular to the ground. So we can't, any fat that we have in there isn't going to adhere. So if anybody has cellulite, they can thank their mother for that one. This is a little bit more of a technical overview showing you how cellulite is formed. And so it's all related to what I was saying before. I don't ever like to read off of a slide, but I don't think I could say it any better than the slide is expressing it in exact technical terms. So what happens is that the dermal tissue gets hardened, and it makes it much harder to break it down. Okay. So how do we work with it? So you see on the right, this is a thermographic imaging film that can look below the surface of the skin and show you what cellulite or fat looks like. So in the top, you're seeing more of the beginning stages of cellulite in the top right. The center right photo is fibrotic cellulite, which is the most common one, usually runs as a vein on the outside of the leg up midway up the buttocks. And then the bottom one is the sclerotic cellulite, which is a hard encasement. Usually it covers most of the thigh. And it's associated with hard fat, which is indicated by the dark color there. And until you get rid of that fat, you're never going to be able to make a dent in the cellulite. So if it's a weekend spa, and you don't have a lot of local traffic, there's not a lot of reason why you want to start treating someone's cellulite, because it requires a lot of treatments. It takes time to get rid of. It's a scientific approach to it. The film that you see here is something we provide with every purchase of one of our devices, because we found it. Well, I was in Italy and I was meeting with a guy by the name of Andrea Lanzani, and Holly, I'm going to share with you his Facebook page because he has a business called the Glutei Perfetti, which is the perfect ass in Italian.
And, I love it.
And I don't know whether he managed a leper colony or something in a prior life, but the guy has the most unbelievable karma. He's about a 4 and his girlfriends are all a 12. So he, but
Well,
this is all he does. This
perhaps
is
they love him because of what he can do.
this is
He's
all he
magical.
does all day long is work on these famous Italian actresses and models derrieres. And he molds and shapes everything. And so I said to Pagani when I was there meeting with them in Milan, I said, I've always wanted to meet with Andre. And they go, oh, he's 1 kilometer away. We go now. So they drive me over, we meet with Andre, and he pulls this film out and he overlays it on the leg. And he's able to, he's showing me this picture. I said, well, what does that do? And he said, well, I'm seeing her cellulite, and now I treat her cellulite so it doesn't come out. And so I said, I'd love to meet with this company. He goes, okay. And he picks up the phone. He goes, you have an appointment at 2 o'clock. And so I went and I met with IPS, who's the manufacturer of this film. It's something they've globally patented. They didn't have a distributor in the United States. I stayed for 2 more days, knocked out an agreement. I came back. So we're exclusive distributor. I only sell this with my product. I don't sell it to anybody independently. I just use it to make our products better and to give our products a point of differentiation from everyone else.
Oh my gosh, brilliant.
So we've developed a real thorough understanding of cellulite. Now, if you're a day spa or a spa that has a good local traffic, then this is something that we can help everyone understand better and helps everyone treat more effectively. And it's all about, when you're using hot and cold, it's about using a stimulation of hot and cold to confuse the brain again. And what we do is we use an extended period of cold to get rid of the fat cells. And we use a combination technique of a circular overlapping motion with pressure on the skin to break down the fibrotic bands that have hardened and formed this issue. So not everyone can get rid of their cellulite, but we certainly have a really good understanding of how it's formed and how to get rid of it and what to do with it. So again, what I was talking about before was the confusion in the brain. When you go hot and cold, it induces a deeper shock in the tissue than if you just use hot or cold independently. So we're boosting metabolism as well to make blood circulation increase and tissue oxygenation speed up. So when we use cellulite and thermal shock, there's a couple of conclusion slides. These are, after 3 treatments and 5 treatments. This is if you don't have hard fat. These are for people who have normal fat and don't have the hardened tissue, because with hardened tissue, it takes 10 or more treatments to get rid of it.
Wow. That's really incredible.
And it is even with all the technology we have and everything we know, it is the most difficult thing to get results with. So I don't want to sugarcoat anything, but with that film where you can overlay it on the skin and you can show somebody what their fat or cellulite looks like. And you can show someone if they have cellulite before it appears on the surface, because usually most women don't show it until they have a baby or go through menopause, or a combination of the two that magnifies it. But if you can show a woman that in advance, it's much easier to pre-treat before it comes out on the surface. And who isn't going to want to pre-treat that and keep it from coming out in the future?
It's preventative care for cellulite.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
I wish you would have had this 20 years ago.
So does my wife. So does my better half. So with thermal shock with fat reduction, it's a little different. You may be familiar with the most prevalent technique out there is cool sculpting.
Mm-hmm.
And cool sculpting uses suction and increasing and intense cold. And what they do is they penetrate down through the dermis and they freeze the fat. I don't know if you saw what happened last week with Linda Evangelista. You saw the Hollywood Reporter of the Today Show. She developed something called PAH, which is a condition that occurs in 1 of every 2,000 cool sculpting treatments. And basically what happened is the fat cells expanded and formed this giant block in different parts of her body. And she's had to go through numerous liposuctions to try and remove it. And it's the biggest issue that cool sculpting has. I mean, cool sculpting's been around a long time. It's been around for 20 plus years. It was the first technique that was developed. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's the best. It's the most prevalent one. It's the most widely used one. And I think they do about 1.5 million treatments a year or something like that. There's 5,300 cool sculpting machines in the United States. Excuse me 1 second, my FedEx guy's here. Okay. Sorry, I didn't think anybody was coming. and I sent everybody in their back room, so it was quiet here. So pardon me. So what we do is we what we do is we'll start with heat at the beginning, which relaxes the tissue. Then when you go to an extended period of cold, what happens is you're shocking the tissue, so it has a more dramatic effect than if you just hit it with cold. You go through an extended period of cold, you're freezing the fat cells, you're getting down below the dermal layer to the adipose tissue. It's like peeling an onion. You're taking off a layer of fat at a time. And so what happens is you're freezing those cells. Then we come back with heat at the end. And so with cool sculpting, they use suction and they use cold. And at the end, there has to be a manual massage done to try and break up the fat cells because they aggregate in a solid mass. But when we come back with heat at the end, what happens is the fat cells relax, they've died, and they release their lipids because of the heat. So the fatty acids travel out through the lymphatic system in the next 48 hours. That shrinks the cells, creating air pockets of them. They don't, in between them, they don't form into large masses, and they're released through the bloodstream or through the lymphatic system. And over the next 4 to 6 weeks, they leave the body completely. Every 2 weeks, you can do a fat reduction treatment, though. But you don't want to over back up the lymphatic system to a point where we have anything clogged. Mm-hmm. And so you want to make sure that you have everything done according to the parameters, because sometimes people try to do too many areas and try to accomplish too many results too quickly, and it can cause a compromised lymphatic system. So that is a pretty good overview on how you can use more natural approaches to beauty.
Amazing.
And in Buena Vista, I will have a star T-Shock with me, Holly, so we can give you a facial. And you can experience it firsthand.
However, I suppose the one that requires a palette is the one that would help get rid of the fat in the middle, right?
No, I have I have the T-Shock with me for the same thing. The star will do the same thing.
We might have to try that.
we can treat anybody that's going to be there that wants to do it. So
I love it. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, we have this little retreat coming up for spa industry leaders in Buena Vista, Colorado, October 24th or 26th. And we really only have 2 spots left, unless those sold out in the last hour since I sent out the latest email and posted it across social media. But Stan is going to be there, and he is one of our platinum sponsors. So we're super excited that part of that sponsorship, he gets to give treatments to people. So that's kind of exciting. But I think you really should practice on me, just in case you kind of forgot while you were in the air.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while, Holly. I better get back into it again.
A little while, right? That's fantastic. Really cool stuff. Stan, what would you say is, so far amongst your current clients, what is the most popular treatment that you're hearing that is requested at these spas?
So in resort areas where you have more of the weekend or full week stay, it's face, neck, décolleté. Mm-hmm. Or if you're in an area where people are taking advantage of skiing or any kind of outdoor recreation, also the muscle relax aspect of it too, and the pain mitigation. Where you have more of a consistent audience, then fat reduction is probably 75% of the treatments, followed by face, neck, décolleté treatment, creating that composed look.
And with these treatments, can you use like any product line, or is like even for like the
Yes.
cellulite reduction, for example, is there a specific product that you guys have, or you're strictly the equipment and any product line
So
complement?
I kind of leave each spa to the lines that they like, because any product line will work. You just want to make sure you moisturize someone well, because you're using cold. It can be a little drying at times. And so you just want to make sure that they're well moisturized.
So the cool thing is this is a plug and play. So you don't have to, reinvent the wheel with whole new product lines, or only your certain, gels or creams or, lotions and potions will work. So that's pretty cool. Can I digress for a second? I like your story. Can you share with our viewers a little bit about your story, your background, how you got into this?
Well, for 17 years, I worked in corporate marketing at CNN, and I saw myself getting packaged out. And so I asked for a package, and I left. I started back in the days at TED right after the Gulf War. So it was an interesting time to be there. And it was a great brand. And I think it's had a bit of a fall from grace recently. But we won't get into politics today, but it's never an issue for me.
Will be very enlightening, however.
Yeah.
I would definitely.
My wife's always like, will you shut up and stop talking politics? But so then I decided I needed to reinvent myself, and I wanted to get into something I was really passionate about. So we started the first whole body cryotherapy center in Manhattan. I was interviewing doctors to have a double knee replacement, and it's 11 years ago, and I still haven't had it. So I use whole body to minimize my pain. I mean, I can't run. I'm not skiing, but I have minimal knee pain because of using the whole body cryo combined with cycling, and just to keep the range of motion in the knee and reduce the inflammation. So we developed that, and then I became a cryotherapy equipment distributor, and I was distributing whole body and local cryo machines. And then we were looking for something to help our clients that had the whole body equipment, particularly in the northern areas, weather the winters, because nobody wanted to go into a minus 200-degree chamber when it's 20 degrees outside. So we innocently stumbled on the Pagani Cryo T-Shock, and they didn't have a distributor in the United States. And we went over there, met with them, became a distributor, and now we import, a variety of products from them. We have a full body lymphatic drainage suit. We have all these body contouring and anti-aging devices. And now we've also just started importing from a company called iTech in Bologna, the Icoone Roboderm, which is a device that's used for, it does silhouette remodeling, lymphatic drainage, and anti-aging all in one treatment. And so it's just a fun business to be in. And, we're not looking to be on every street corner and commoditize it. I don't want that myself. And we've come up with more of an Amazon versus a Bloomingdale business model, where I don't have a lot of feet on the street in order to keep the price more reasonable. And all these products have a very low consumable and require minimal maintenance, if any. So it's kind of a plug and play.
And you got a package for everyone. So for anyone who's, thinking this is, you could never afford this, or, you feel like there might be a barrier to entry, definitely reach out to Stan, because, there is an option for everyone. And there's, certainly pieces of equipment that, could fit, for anyone. Obviously it has to be right for your business, but he can really partner with you and ensure that, that barrier to entry has certainly been reduced greatly, if not completely. So make sure you reach out to Stan. As you can see, his contact information is right here on your screen. But Stan at skinsciencesolutions.com is a great way to get started. Or you can certainly, comment on our page or reach out to me, and I'm happy to connect you. If for some reason you, forget to write this down or not somewhere where you can write down this information, but most definitely worth looking into for your business. This is super cool. Stan, I'm excited to see you next month and actually meet you in person. I mean, we've had such wonderful conversations on the phone. And so I'm excited to give you a squeeze because that's what I do. I hope you don't mind. I'm a hugger. So it'll be a lot of fun in Buena Vista. But let me tell everybody really quick before. And Stan, do you have any other last minute comments you'd like to make before I?
No, I'm
back
all
in?
good. I'm good. Thanks, Holly.
Awesome, good. So a couple of quick things that are coming up for us that we're super excited about. So we have partnered with Wellness for Cancer, and they are hosting a oncology massage and aesthetics virtual training conference October 4 and October 5. So next week. And we have complimentary seats to give away to every spa in our region if you're interested. So, but we also have another option, which is really cool. If you'd like for your entire team to get trained, it's only $250. And that's just because you're affiliated with the Rocky Mountain Spa and Wellness Association. So to learn more about that, you would have to register by Friday. So October 1st is the deadline to take advantage of this. And you can learn more. So go to our website, Rocky Mountain Spa, ASSOC.com /events, and you will see what's coming up there and get more information on that oncology conference. It does offer 16 CEUs per attendee. So that's super cool, whether your state needs them or requires them or not. It's still a fantastic offering to really level up your education and your compassion for your guests that come in and out of your spa. One other thing that I mentioned earlier, as did Stan, we do have that spa industry leadership retreat coming up October 24th, 25th, and 26th in Buena Vista, Colorado. And it's going to be amazing. We have everything. We've rented out, for Pete's sake, we have rented out a drive-in movie theater and and a food truck. That's one of our nights. So I'm super stoked about that. I will announce the movie soon, just making sure it's available, but we have the whole place to ourselves, which is super cool. We've rented out also a hot springs pool at Mount Princeton. Goodness gracious, what else do we have? We have sound healing. We have the Well Leader Lab. We have a ropes course challenge, like a legit ropes course challenge. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Spas, it's $299. For those last 2 spots. And that promo price is valid until the 30th of this month. So that's Thursday. So be there, be square. All right, everybody, have the best week. And Stan, thank you again so much. And so much gratitude for you and your energy and this super cool equipment. I can't wait to see you next month.
My pleasure. Same here, Holly. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.